Hey folks, it's time for the quote of the day, and today we're going to be quoting a man that is well, if you were to gonna go look up quotes by him, you'd find like 3, maybe 6 total quotes on record from him. A very soft-spoken, very humble man. However, his name is one that you probably will immediately recognize as he is the centerpiece, the defendant in one of the most important trials in American history. Today we are quoting for his birthday the substitute teacher and football coach, uh, John T. Scopes. Now, John T. Scopes is the centerpiece, like I said, of the Scopes, what is now called the Scopes monkey trial in 1925, I think it was. 1925 is when he was arrested. If you don't know the backstory of this, it's fascinating and it's very, very important to understand, especially in today's world where we have seen a resurgence of the forces that he would essentially become a pawn in fighting against. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of the backstory. I'm not a scholar on the topic or anything like that, but I think that there's just some things that we can discuss and we can understand here. It's important to know that again, John Scopes was a substitute teacher. Now, the whole premise, the whole point of the Scopes trial was to fight against the Butler Act, which was put forward in Tennessee. The Butler Act basically stated that it was against the law to teach anything but basically biblical studies, right? Like you couldn't teach evolution. It was against the law because it wasn't based on the Bible. And they the ACLU and multiple attorneys all across the country were like, "What are you talking about? This is fucking stupid." But it was being picked up. The entire fundamentalists, especially in the South, uh, organizations, I guess, decided that this was the thing they were going to fight. And this brought together, Christian conservatives and KKK members. And I mean, they really came together in a way that we kind of see today how they really did come together and never really broke up again. This is one of those things that kind of galvanized that relationship and made it something that we would have to deal with for the rest of time. Now, John Scopes kind of, I mean, he did it on purpose. This was all planned out. This was not like this like great like courtroom drama. I mean, it was, but not. It was kind of staged to a certain degree. Like they knew that he was essentially a pawn, right? This is a guy that came in when the science teacher at the school was out sick or whatever, came in and supposedly taught the chapter that was in the state sanctioned book on evolution, right? Like he taught that chapter on evolution, even though it was just what was in the course of their curriculum. This was the law that the state gave the schools the book. He was teaching out of the book. The book had evolution in it, and yet the Butler Act had outlawed teaching evolution. So the ACLU was basically arguing that, well, how are they supposed to teach it? It's in the state book, which they're supposed to teach from, but you made it against the law. So which one is it? And this was the basis of their argument. And I've quoted Clarence Darrow, who came in to be the star defense attorney, and we've talked about this before in other videos. But I never really talked about John Scopes. And the reality is that again, he was a substitute teacher. He came in, he kind of was reading out of the book. But the interesting thing is that after the trial, which he was found guilty of, like they didn't win this, right? Like that's important to understand. Science and progress didn't win this. Evolution didn't win this. The fundamentalists won it, and they fined him $100, which in today's money is almost like $2,000. It's close to $2,000. So they fined him quite a bit of money, and this poor man who basically was like, if you can prove that I taught it, then I taught it. That's fine. I don't really remember. Like it's not something that I really. It's not. He wasn't like this. Like, you know, people in movies and even in plays and things like that. They've kind of written him or characters that are based on him as being this strident defender of. He was just like, well, I guess. I mean, maybe if it was in the book, I guess I taught it. I don't know. But it came out afterwards that the defense attorneys had basically gone in and told the students in his class, no, he definitely taught you this, right? Right? And they were like, sure, I guess. And so it may be that he never actually broke the law. It may be that he never did the things that he was accused of. Now, he went on in his life to basically be blackballed through all of the state of Tennessee. He couldn't get a job. He was barred. I'm sorry, was the word they used. He was barred from working in the state of Tennessee because, as I said, they lost the case. The fundamentalists won. The religious fanatics won. And so it became a situation where it was illegal to teach evolution. And he went off to, I think he went to become a geologist. He went to college to become a geologist. He was pretty young when this happened, by the way. And he went to college to become a geologist. And when he got out, he just couldn't get work because of his name, because people knew who he was. It was a national fucking, well, really worldwide fucking thing. Like this was the first case. The Scopes trial was the first case where there was somebody live on the radio reporting. That's how important this was to the culture at the time. This was the trial of the century. And it was a stupid trial. It really was, because I mean, it was, like I said, it was set up. It was all kind of for show. But as far as Scopes is concerned, he was very soft-spoken. He was just like, yeah, I mean, I guess, or he was just he was along for the ride. But he did say something when he was on trial, when he was on the stand, that I thought was, I mean, it's worth talking about. And it's while he may not have a lot of quotes, and he may have gone on to live a life where he worked in like the oil industry and like was helping with oil companies and stuff like that, something that, like, because he was a geologist. So I think he moved to Venezuela for a time. He ended up dying in Louisiana. I want to say Shreveport, but I could be wrong about that. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure it was Shreveport, because I think I've been to Shreveport and seen like a memorial for him. Anyway, he was just this soft-spoken guy, right? But he said this one thing that I just find so important in today's world, that I when I found out that it was his birthday today, I was like, oh, I remember he said this thing, this quote, and I'm going to give it to you today. And I think that it's really, really important, because even though he was technically just a substitute teacher, and even though he was, this soft-spoken man that was kind of just used, like, I think he even said at one point in time that he was basically just the body that sat in the defendant. It wasn't really about him. They called it the Scopes trial, is literally named after him, but it really wasn't about him. He had nothing to do with what they were actually fighting for. He was just the guy in the chair, and he knew that, and he was okay with it. But the reason he was okay with it is because when he was growing up, his father had read to him from Origin of Species by Charles Darwin, and he said to himself, well, this makes sense. This makes sense. How is this a bad thing? Like, how is it a bad thing? And at the time, a lot of, churches had kind of melded together the message of evolution into their teachings of the Bible, but the fundamentalists just would not do that. And so he found himself staunchly opposed to that kind of fundamentalist way of thinking. And so while he was on the stand, he said this, and I think that, like I said, is a really, really important sentiment that is shared here by a man that really didn't have a whole lot of words recorded in his life. And he said, education means broadening or advancing. And if you limit a teacher to only one side of anything, the whole country will eventually have only one thought, be one individual. I believe in teaching every aspect of every problem or theory. This seems so simple. It seems so simple. It seems almost nonsensical at this point in time that this was a fight that was had. But if you like pan out a little bit, pan out with the camera at our reality today, you realize this fight is being had right now. Like, we are having this fight between Christian nationalists, fundamentalists, and basically the rest of the fucking country. MAGA is at their heart are Christian nationalist fundamentalists. There's the same people. The KKK and these rabid fundamentalists are the same people that inhabit MAGA today. So I'm going to read this again, and I want you to think about it, because this is a very important statement by a very soft-spoken man who has a very important place in history, even though he didn't really want it. John T. Scopes once said, education means broadening, advancing. And if you limit a teacher to only one side of anything, the whole country will eventually have only one thought, be one individual. I believe in teaching every aspect of every problem or theory. I couldn't have said it better myself, but then I'm not on trial. Happy birthday to teacher John T. Scopes. And to the rest of you, please, take care of yourself, take care of others. I'll talk to you soon.